Hey everybody, this is Perch. This guy has an idea of how to save comics, and I looked a little bit at it. I hate this idea. So I love the creativity, but I hate this idea so much. Um, anyway, let's read it, and you can think for yourself. It says, "Hey Perch, I love your show. I feel bad saying I hate the guy's idea. He's very he's very complimentary. Like I'm gonna skip this first paragraph because it's nothing but kind of well wishes. As we start to get into the holiday season, for me, my family, everything else. You know, asking about how I've been feeling health wise. Just really nice guy. And now I'm about to crap all over his idea. Anyway, um, all right, let's get to the second paragraph of this mail. Um, you're you're always looking for ways to help comics, and I think I have a smart idea that I'm curious to get your opinion on. As you may know, Pokemon cards are having a huge resurgence. It's hard to find them in the stores. Places have to keep them locked up because of theft. And overall, the Pokemon market for cards is bigger, maybe, than it's ever been. I'm not sure it's as big as it's ever been, but it is certainly very strong right now. Pokemon is having a huge moment right now for cards. Um, it got me thinking, why can't a similar approach be used for comics? What is it that is driving a lot of the Pokemon popularity right now? It's collectability. Well, comic books are also collectible. The difference between Pokemon and comic books is that with comic books, you know what you're going to get when you buy the comic. With Pokemon cards, you have to unwrap it and see if you got any rare or extra rare cards. And this prompts you to buy more in order to fill out your collection. So here is my idea. What if the comic books were polybagged like they did in the 90s? And the cover that you got was completely random with, completely random with the same kind of rarity model used for Pokemon cards. Maybe you have an Art Adams cover that is only in one out of 1,000 bags, but the other regular cover by the crappy artist, is the normal one. In addition to this, what if you had another idea where you polybagged a comic with a back issue that is completely random? Maybe you're going to get a back issue from the quarter bin, or maybe you're going to get Action Comics #1. Probably not. Uh, this would drive a lot of extra purchases of comics as people would buy more than just the book that they wanted. They would start collecting more of the comics in order to get the variant covers that are super rare or get a back issue that is super rare. I know this idea sounds a little strange, but I think this could really drive comic sales. And quite frankly, since comics are already heavily influenced by collectors, why not fully lean into it the way Pokemon does and hopefully get some extra money? Curious to get your take on the idea. Again, appreciate your show. It's really meant a lot to me over the last several years as I've been going through my own difficulties, and you are the constant friend. Oh, okay. All right. What do you think, folks? So, uh, I love the ingenuity. I do. And I also love the fact that, people looking at other businesses that are doing well say, hey, how can we co opt this? How can we bring some of these things into comics? And Pokemon as a collectible kind of card set is interesting. And you know what? The price point of Pokemon is similar, and more in some cases to what you would pay for comics. Those packs are not 99 cents. I was with somebody, and they're like, "Well, you can always buy Pokemon cards instead of comics. They're way cheaper." I'm like, "Ah, they're not. You go, they are the same price as an average comic and more when you buy boxes and everything." My older daughter she's having a resurgence of Pokemon cards. So now the money is just flowing out of my wallet like crazy. Um, so I love the ingenuity. I love the creativity. I love the idea. I absolutely hate what this would mean. Um, First off, Pokemon has popularity that comic books just don't have. And the idea of getting a special Pokemon card that you can use, to battle or whatever it happens to be, is not the same as getting like a J. Scott Campbell variant cover. I grant you, I think we would see a price increase, but I also think we would see the problem is, comic books at the end of the day, in order to get hooked and get people reading them for decades, they need to be read. And if you did if you start polybagging the book, you're going to have people buying multiple copies because they'll want to save one for the polybag, and they're going to want to read one. If the variant cover is hidden inside the polybag, then you'll have people with unopened books who are selling them with the hopes that maybe you get a rare cover, maybe you don't. I mean, there's a lot of aspects to this that would be positive or would play to the collector market for sure, no doubt about it. But it'd be a parasitic bad market for comics to be in. It would, at that point, you don't need a story or a comic. I mean, why not just put the covers there? I mean, if you want to do it and you're Marvel, why not create a Marvel trading card game? They probably have at some point and kind of go for the same thing. I don't know. The idea of back issues is more interesting to me. But the publisher couldn't do this easily. This had to be something the comic store did. And, maybe it's a case of, a comic shop could today basically put a comic in a bag and a board and then slip another comic. It depends on you'd have to get a slightly bigger bag, but slip another comic in there, in a little sleeve so you can't see what it is. And then basically they could mark up new comics by saying, hey, you can buy the regular comic on the shelf for $4.99, or you could pay, $6.99, pay $2 more, and I've got a back issue in there, most of which are from the quarter bin, but I've sprinkled a couple, more rare ones in there. That would play to your local clientele. It's kind of fun, kind of the mystery grab bag kind of thing. You could do that. The publisher, if they were to do that, they would have to go out and buy back issue stock from shops, and I mean the shops would love that to get rid of some of their shit. But it would be more difficult. I mean, that would be complex, and the cost of, at the printer, putting them in the bag, inserting the other comic, tracking all that. I think that would get to be, it would load up the costs on production quite a lot. And that'd be a problem. It'd be fun. That's fun-ish. Um, I- you know, the challenge with comics is, I think, with Pokemon, you have the cards. You open the card set. You see what you got. Maybe you got something rare. Maybe you didn't get the cards you wanted, so you buy 3 or 4 more sets. But at the end of the day, once the cards are opened, what's happening is that the customer, the person who's buying Pokemon, are in a lot of cases playing the game. So they're creating hours of entertainment for themselves by actually playing with these cards and battling and everything else. Some people are just putting them in a binder to have a collection there, and they can have fun doing that. But if you think about those two audiences, the person who's just putting the Pokemon cards in the binder, the person who's actually playing the game, the person who's playing the game is driving a lot of the longevity of the cards, and the collector is driving a lot of the price scarcity. So you need kind of both of them working hand in hand in order to make it work. With comics, if you went down this path, I think you would thoroughly irritate the people who are reading the comics, because now they're having to open up a bag, and they don't. Maybe they get a cover they like, maybe they don't. Maybe they get one of the shitty artists. Anyway, it's too. You're taking too much of the control away from the comic reader. And comics, you read them once, and you often don't go back to that comic again, or if you do, it's much later. It's not like the people who are playing the Pokemon game that are spending hours and hours doing this. You're not necessarily spending hours and hours with a comic. So if you do this, I think you irritate one group. Maybe you generate a little bit extra money to the collector group, but not enough, I think, to offset how much you've pissed off people. If DC Comics started doing this, for example, I just think you would get, man, I just think you would piss people off so much in that process. who are just now they have to all the stuff comes bagged. I mean, people didn't love the bag comics in the 90s when they were doing this. There was a trading card thrown in there, and or something special, and it did irritate people like crazy because they couldn't open up the book, and they had to buy multiple copies in order, and which was the scheme all along. But the challenge is that if you put it bagged, you may sell a couple extra copies. You thoroughly irritate your customer base, and I think that it just doesn't net out, and I think you'd have some real problems on your hands. Anyway, that's my opinion. What do you think? To the listening audience, are you listening to this going, yeah, Perch is crazy. This is a tremendous idea. Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, of course, and thanks for listening.